Newcastle United drew with Barcelona 1-1. It's my personal opinion. The Barcelona got away with their lives. Can Newcastle United repeat that same performance at the new camp? We're going to find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from João. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian João in!
All right, folks. I hope you guys are all well. I hope you guys are all blessed. I want to tell you from the beginning, I am already hyped up for three good reasons, right? The first one is there's already people in the chat. There's already Adrian in the chat. There's already James in the chat. There's going to be more people in the chat, which lets me know. And I'm always encouraged to see people, as you guys know, always in the chat before we even start the show. So I'm already hyped and encouraged by that. The second thing I'm encouraged about is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've got a new camera. So no more flickering, no more having you guys taking over my shows because my camera is off and my sound is off and I'm fighting with my equipment. And I've got a new mic stand and stuff like that, so you don't have to hear the clicking of my mouse. So hopefully, by the grace of God, you guys will be able to enjoy the show with all the technical glitches out. So I'm excited about that. But the third thing I'm super, super, super excited about is that we've got, he's no longer a guest, he hasn't been a guest on the channel for ages. He is a friend of the channel. We're gonna introduce our main man Bobby Fairview, who's now, you see his X account is growing. He's going on people's shows and that, but that's because he is an incredible creator, and there's tons of stuff, not just about football, financial account. Goodness gracious. I feel like he's done our club's accounts and everything else, and we've been absolutely blessed to have him on the show. So without further ado, allow me to welcome Bobby to the show. How you doing, sir? How you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing well, Philip, and I see that you're becoming professional now. You've got all the equipment. Just need to get this channel monetized and up to 10,000 subscribers. So, guys, like and subscribe, please.
That's right. I've been on this 970 plus subscribers for ages. I think you need to get
really?
Yeah, you need 1,000 to get subscribed. So I've been 25, 26 subscribers away from 1,000 for a couple months now. So no pressure on anyone, guys. If you're enjoying the show, if you feel it's quality, subscribe. And there's no pressure on you. If you don't want to, it's all good. But as long as you're enjoying the show, you think, yeah, all right, I'll listen to it from time to time. Please do like, share, subscribe. Before I get into it with Bobby, I wanna first of all big up James. All right, mate, Phil, good to see you, sir, as always. James says, just saying, I was nearly perfect on my. You were. We're going to get to that with Bobby in a moment.
Come on, James.
Big up. Good to see Kevin Hawthorne. God bless you, Kevin. Good to see you. Good evening from Lakeland, Florida. I hope you've been well, Kevin. I haven't seen you for a bit. Whenever I tell people we've got international fans, and that's why sometimes I say, whatever you're doing, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, because we've got international fans, and think of people like yourself. And so great to see you back on the show. Maybe you've been here before, maybe I just missed you, but it's good to see you at least in the chats for sure. Now tonight, folks, I'm going to blend a couple of things together because usually we do our match reactions, but as you guys know, both Bobby and I, our teams have been in the Champions League, so we're going to kind of intertwine that with the match preview going forward. And I've become also, I want to, at some points, I've subscribed to Data MB, so I'm a paying member for Data MB, and they use a little bit of metrics and data from Y Scout. So I don't know if Bobby, you've heard of Data MB. So I want to show off a little bit. I'm just still learning, but I want to show off here and there where I can. So I'm sure you guys would enjoy that. But Bobby, first and foremost, how are you doing? How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, sir. Considering the circumstances, I mean, yesterday was a little bit embarrassing, but probably not entirely surprising. But yeah, things are well, man, and very happy to be here. We've got Kevin. I've never seen Kevin before in the chat. Is he new
Yeah,
or he's been around for a
no,
while?
no, he's been about. He has been about for
I
sure.
see. Well, big up to Adrian and James as well. Good to see those guys. So looking forward to
Hmm.
getting into it, my friend.
Well, let's look. Let's kick things off because we're both in an interesting situation, right? Obviously, we've just played Champions League and we're about to play each other before our second legs of the Champions League. And I don't know. It's interesting to see how the both managers will kind of view this game. Will they view? I guess it depends on where they are in terms of their first leg results. Would they look at it as distraction? Would they look at it as an opportunity to rotate? What is going on? But let's start off with Chelsea. Let's obviously guests go first. So you guys see. Let me. Can I zoom? Do I need to zoom in, or can you see it clearly? Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. Right. So you guys. In fact, let me zoom in a little bit. Here we go. Let me zoom in a little bit. You guys, obviously, so the scoreline, the most important thing is it finished 5-2 with the likes of, and I watched the game. I prefer to watch this game compared to Man City Madrid, which is interesting. Even
Oh,
though,
really? You should tell me why.
do you know what it was? I thought that first of all, I like watching Chelsea play anyway. I like a style
Oh,
of
do
play.
you? Okay.
I know. You know that meme. You know that meme of Garth Crooks when he's watching, just looking at him back, just talking like, yeah, really, that's what you sounded like when you was doing that. So I do like watching both teams play, and I wanted to see a bit more of a. I love watching PSG play when I can, and like I watched a couple of their games because I like watching Monaco and Lille and seeing some of their players. I've seen some of those games, and so I thought it'd be a really interesting technical game.
Hmm.
And but then obviously the Man City game as well. I don't know if you saw some of the goals from Valverde.
I did.
Oh my goodness me. But anyway, let's focus. Incredible goals for Vitinha, Kvara, Osman. I know some of them were from mistakes and stuff like that, but I thought that was interesting. I thought you guys scored some really, really good goals via Enzo with the Neto put back and pullback, excuse me, or the cutback, excuse me. Then you had obviously Malo Gusto. Let's go through it, Bobby. Before I get into like the nitty gritty and the stats of it all, this is your lineup. Pedro up front, Fernandez, Neto, Palmer in midfield with James and Casado in the pivot with Fofana, Chalobah, Correa. Some really low ratings there from SofaScore. Gusto and well, Jorgensen, we know. When you saw the lineup, when you saw this, the setup, and please do feel good to go on about the game as well. Like, what's your immediate thoughts and how do you think kind of played out?
Yeah, I mean, I think the lineup was not particularly surprising, right? If you look at what we did in the against Wrexham and the lineup we used there,
Yeah,
you could almost predict with Gusto having been left out and Reece, etc. You almost could predict what the lineup was going to be.
yeah,
In addition to that, it is pretty much the setup that was used against PSG by Maresca in the Club World Cup final, right?
right,
So instinctively, safety first would have been to basically replicate what we did, which was so successful in the summer. Despite Rafinha being new, of course, and Maresca being in the stands, because my understanding is that he was at the game yesterday as well. He was seen in the crowd. So the lineup was not surprising at all. I don't think Reece James in midfield is the best use of his skill set. He's such a good player that he almost can play anywhere on the pitch.
yeah, yeah,
But I feel as though that was something that Maresca had to do because of the absence of Lavia, the fact that We didn't have Santos with the team last year, so he went with members of the team who would have been familiar with his system, etc. But it is not
Right,
the typical Chelsea lineup either, right? This is
right,
what I've actually been calling for all last year as a lineup, and Maresca finally did it in the final. Because it's a lot more balanced, right? Caicedo is not left isolated in midfield. Whenever he's playing in midfield with Enzo Fernandez in the pivot, he tends to
yeah,
get left on an island.
yeah,
And so you see Caicedo making these desperate last ditch tackles and picking up yellow cards. And our
yeah,
centre backs are often exposed,
yeah.
right? Um, so this to me was always going to be our most balanced lineup. I think when Esteval is fit, he'll probably come in for Neto. But I think Reece James in midfield got a little bit exposed yesterday. Um, Not necessarily because I know it was later in the game, so he was getting tired, etc. But he didn't play the last match either, so there are no excuses, right? He's just not a midfielder. It's a makeshift situation, and therefore I was a little bit uncomfortable with that, but not at all surprising in terms of a lineup to answer your question specifically.
So, do you? I might be skipping a little bit ahead here, but do you anticipate there being a change in the lineup against Newcastle?
That is a really, really good question. And along the lines of the politics at Chelsea, right?
Right.
And I'm not sure how familiar you are, Newcastle fans are, with the role of the medical department and
It's
rumors
been
about that.
yes, yeah. I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with it,
Okay,
but do explain it for folks just in case, just for folks to kind of
sure. So this apparently was the root cause of Enzo Maresca leaving. So Maresca was not fired; he left Chelsea, and
okay,
and folks need to appreciate that, right? Um, and there was a photo surfacing of one of the medical staff literally sitting in the dugout to ensure that he pulls off players when they say he should, based
right,
on the way the medical department is managing their minutes. Now, given the level of injury crises that we've had over the last few years, you would say that that's prudent. But some of us are a little bit suspicious that Chelsea has had a number of high value players, and we have a flip for profit model.
yeah,
So a number of those players have not gotten enough minutes in the past, and their values drop. So that when they're ready to flip them, they don't get the prices that they want. And
yeah,
Cuckoo is a good example of that, right? Not rotated enough. So there are a number of sales that we've made because players aren't getting minutes, and then therefore when they come on to play, they're not in form, etc. So that's been affecting player values. And when you run a flip for profit model, that's a problem. So
mhm,
all of that to say, we're not sure if the lineup is going to be based on sporting considerations, medical considerations, or financial considerations. But all three are in play.
that is a tough, tough spot to be in. Honestly, the medical thing is an interesting one. We've got obviously our own performance director. His name's James Bunce, but he's like a holistic person that's in charge of the medical department and everywhere, but like other departments around player performances, right? And he came in with our sporting director, Paul Mitchell, who at the time was a sporting director before he left. But James Bunce stayed. So James Bunce used to follow Paul Mitchell everywhere, but James Bunce stayed. And our injury record has significantly reduced ever since James Bunce joined our team. And if you watch his interview, if you ever get 5, 10 minutes when he first, especially when he first started, he talks about what a relationship with someone like him and a manager ought to be. Like,
Interesting.
do you know what I mean? And he's like, if you watch him, and there's other interviews done where he said he fully understands what a manager's got to do.
He sounds like a very
He's
experienced person. What's his
right,
background?
right. Right. And he can't. He in a short sentence, he kind of paint the picture where I'm providing the fullest framework I can to the manager of where the players are at in different situations and circumstances and what is going on with as much detail to give them to make the decision as to what they're going to do.
Them being Eddie.
Yeah. So he was talking about it in generality, but yes, in this situation, he's talking about Eddie Howe.
Yeah, got it.
So, and he fully understood when someone like him first comes into a club that it's kind of difficult for he wasn't about Eddie, but he was talking about him coming into Newcastle, but any kind of clubs in general. So he understands why it's a bit funny or a bit awkward for managers in the beginning because of what he is and what he does and stuff like that. So he just seemed to be very like
Focused on the
so,
relationship.
yes.
Well, I'll
So
tell you, it was quite the opposite here. It's apparently it was a civil war on the bench.
exactly, and I think if your medical team feels pressured, for instance, by your board to say, "Hey, you look after our assets,"
Yes.
then I think it's a bit different. Whereas ours was like, "Hey, we need to we need to can you help us reduce our injuries, please?" type of thing, and so that's what he did. So
Sounds as though you found the right balance. We
yeah,
didn't, and it ended up in a civil war and Maresca leaving
well,
effectively.
the fact that Paul Mitchell, who James Bunton followed to Monaco and everything else, when he left and James Bunton remains with Eddie Howe, lets you know
Strength
just
of the
how good that
relationship.
relationship is, right?
Yeah,
So
that's important. Yeah.
James is asking you, is Enzo Fernandez injured?
He didn't look that way yesterday. He finished the game, from what I remember. Yeah,
Okay,
I don't think we had a problem with his injury. James, just let us know why you're asking.
maybe something's come up. James also
Yeah.
says we are doing we being Newcastle are doing a lot better. Better as for injuries. Miley's almost back. We're just waiting now for Bruno and Shaw. I'm not counting Kraft in this list. Don't worry, we're not worried. We're not worried about Kraft, unfortunately. Bobby, so let's before we just last one before we move on from the PSG guy, I wanna because I haven't really
Yeah,
kind
let's
of
talk a
get
little bit
into
about it, actually, about the game itself.
exactly. Uh, Unsurprisingly, and you're both possession-based teams, but obviously, unsurprisingly, PSG had the most. They also covered the most ground. I'm surprised their expected, well, ish, that their expected goals at 0.9. Yours is at 1.57. They had two big chances. You had four. You had nine shots each. Their goalkeeper had to make two saves. Your goalkeeper had to make three. Lots of sprints from both of you.
This is a classic example, Philip,
Go
of
on, go
what
on.
of what Champions League football is.
Yeah,
And I mean, this is Newcastle's second season, right?
yeah,
Since the second season period. And I think what you guys also got a taste of is the fact that this is a moments competition,
yeah,
right? This is where you rely on the big names, the guys with the talent, right, to
mm,
really come out and express themselves in tight situations and pull off something phenomenal,
yeah.
something that XG cannot capture, right?
Right.
Right? XG does not capture the quality of the player executing the play, right? It just
Yes.
assumes
Yes.
average player in said position facing
Yeah.
X number of defenders.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
the math. The,
Exactly.
the problem is when it's Vitinha or Caraskelia, it's a different there's no
Or
math to
Dembele.
what correct. There's no math on the genius that these players can pull off at any minute.
Yeah.
And that those are the teams that advance. Right. So you had PSG in the second half taking three shots with 100% conversion rate.
Yeah.
All right. Just because of pure talent in the front line. Guys that
Yeah.
can do special things, right? And that's what, just to bring it back to the EPL, this is what Emery has been living off of at Villa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's been coaching an 11th place team all season. Okay, that's my view of it. But and you know the weighted table that I do consistently an 11th place manager,
yeah,
but he's got Morgan Rogers who can do special things from outside the box,
yeah, yeah,
right? And as long
yeah,
as you can keep that hot streak going, you will accumulate points. The problem is when Rogers gets tired. So, you know, that can be applied here as well. You've got so much talent in the front line there who can punish you at any minute. Those are the moments in the game. So these system managers, they aren't going to fare well in this competition, right? Because they don't allow the Mavericks to express themselves. That's why Real Madrid is so successful, right? So I think that is the painful reality of the game yesterday. That would be my key takeaway, and I think you guys experienced something similar with your late goal.
Oh yes, yes, yes. We do. We did. I just want to say before we do move on from that, I am. We saw some really special goals, and the thing is, it's easy because of PSG's goals were really special. I don't want to take it away from Chelsea because Neto gets a lot of stick, but the assist for the it wasn't Gusto, it was Enzo goal was really really good, especially on the
What's
run.
your impression of Neto? I don't have a problem with him. I think he's one of
Either
our.
way, either way.
I don't see what the criticism is.
Either way, either way, either way. I sometimes feel like I think there's a couple of things going on, especially more maybe criticism of my own kind of YouTube world where uh, there's and maybe especially you know or maybe you know a little bit more when you've supported a club maybe in terms of like Chelsea where people have seen really really incredible players and 20 years of unimaginable trophies that it's hard for them to readjust and compute the new players that they're seeing before them. And sometimes you look at the past of rose tinted windows, like Hazard was walked on water, and all these other players didn't make no mistakes. And now we've got Neto. What can Neto do? He just runs down blind alleys, Neto. But
Well,
whenever, and that's not true. So,
well,
go on,
I
Bobby.
agree. I agree with you. I mean, like we. I remember we went to Barcelona and got Pedro. People claim we went and bought Pedro from Barcelona for depth, and that was the Roman model, right? We used to go and get that kind of player to put on the bench,
Yeah, yeah.
right? What's the
Those are the
difference?
things.
Yeah, but what's the difference, right? Similar kind of player. They're not a Lamilla, Yamal or Messi that can beat a player like that. But he's got
Yeah.
pace, and he's always working hard. And then when he's required to put in that critical cross at speed, he does. He's able to execute it, and he picks up points and wins ties for us. I really don't understand the complaint about him, so I'm glad that you're
He's,
reinforcing my view.
he stretches games with his running. Even whether he gets the ball or not, he causes the backline to fall back, and that's what creates space for you guys in the middle.
He's an outlet, right?
Yeah, he's an outlet. He's a terrific outlet, and off the ball work is really really good, like really really good. So that's my overall impression. But like the Dembele goal, when he kind of obviously ran at the midfield, still had I forgot who the defender was. Was it Chalobah? Was it
It
Chalobah?
would have been
And he,
Chalobah, yeah.
and you only see those type of goals, like when you're watching people in the park play, that kind
Yeah.
of that's what it felt like. And I thought people are gonna look at that and think that was easy. That's just the genius of Dembele. I thought that was phenomenal. Kvara's top bins, like the way that ball hit the net.
Incredible.
I, I
That
just
was
I
incredible ball
was
striking.
I couldn't I haven't seen anything like that. And
Now,
then
I
the
was surprised he didn't start, but it was obviously a great tactical decision to bring him on
it
against
worked.
legs.
It worked. It worked. It worked. What a phenomenal player. What a phenomenal team. So,
Their
so
defense, though, Philip. Their defense, though, Philip, was pretty shocking. I mean,
it's
if
by
you see
design.
where you think so, you think it's a trade off that
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
trade off
yeah.
he's
It's
made.
the trade off. Yeah, yeah. It's the trade off. It's the trade off. Especially when it comes to the Champions League. I think in France, they play the same way, but in France they really dominate the possession, and you have to be a pretty good team to really hurt them. And but it works in it's what you said at the beginning in terms of moments. Like the way they play is for those moments. Like
Mhm.
and they back themselves to take those moments. They're
They're
going to give.
clinical.
They're clinical. Like we had a debate yesterday on Spurs Kings, and there was Steph, one of the guys, was saying he couldn't quite compute what we were trying to say to him because he was saying like, yeah, but Chelsea dominated and PSG just hit them on the break, and we're saying, yeah, but that's and he goes
Did
like,
we? I mean,
well,
look at the
he felt
possession
like
stats.
well, that's what I thought. I think he. So if you look at maybe maybe the chances, he was looking at me from the chances he created and everything else. But what I was saying to him is this is PSG by design. The PSG are willing to give you the opposition opportunities to score. If you don't take them, they back themselves to take. This is their unique selling point, if you can say it. They back themselves to do it.
But I mean,
That's how they.
and it paid off because they had 3 shots in the second half. All 3 went in.
Yeah, right.
That's all you
So
need.
that's all you need. That's all you need. James says, Bobby, did you think it was the wrong decision to sell Lewis Hall? You're gonna
Wow,
get
I
Bobby
mean,
started. You're gonna get Bobby started.
this is almost like a Bluco discussion. They sold our entire academy. Pisses me off, James. You have no idea, man. Particularly him. I love Lewis Hall, and so did Tuchel. Tuchel gave
he,
Lewis Hall his debut.
he did.
Like
He did.
special kid, man,
He
special
did.
kid.
He did.
But anyway, I will
Uh,
mention. I will mention Anderson to James at Forest. So we all experience these things from time to time.
we do. We do. Robojog says, was telling my dad watching Cava play for your team or watching Martinelli. It's like being born to be royal or common folks. This isn't what-
Top one there, Wolva Jog. Big up to
Big
you.
up, big up to you, Robojog. Robojog said, "Oh no, sorry, that's he's talking to somebody else there." Uh, James says Lee Kang is a scary good player. I'm surprised he was that injured. He's got a ton of assist season. He does, but he's in the midst. He's like in a camp of really other good players as well. So they're just really blessed, really. Well, before I get up to Newcastle, how you feel about Chelsea PSG returning the return leg to PSG? Oh, well, to Stamford Bridge. Do you think you
If
can
you
do
look
it?
at the schedule, the games are next week or the following week. Because I remember back in the day, it used to be a 2 week break. It's
They
next week, right?
are. So you played on Wednesday. You
So we're gonna
are
flip next week. We're gonna invert the days next week, is
Tuesday.
it?
Yeah. So you're going to be on Tuesday.
Look, here's the problem. We need to score 4 goals, right? And against that defense, it's a bit of a
It's
lottery. It's
possible. It is
possible. It's
possible. It's
possible, right?
possible. It is
They're going
possible.
to give us those chances. The
Yeah.
problem is, can we prevent them from scoring? Okay. Because I think we might actually need 6 goals in order to advance in this game. That's a tall order. And look, we've been better away from home, right? So Stamford Bridge is far from being a fortress. So I don't see any particular home advantage to them coming to us next week. The crowd is going to be up for it. Champions League night. Everybody obviously wants us to advance. It's pretty embarrassing after the way we've been parading that Donald Trump Cup since August. Sorry, since July. Okay, all right. People calling ourselves world champions and wrapping ourselves with this Donald Trump Cup, and then to come and fold like pussies in Paris was completely embarrassing. So this fan base will be keen to get a result next week. So Stamford Bridge should have a different atmosphere. But as I said, we're going to need 6 goals to advance. Against that defense, is it possible? I guess maybe. But I think what you're going to see now as well PSG has this weekend off. We got to go through the meat grinder of your midfield this weekend.
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to make a big difference to these legs as well.
Well, so there's the tall order. Shall we just put it? We'll put it down. It's a tall order.
I'm not optimistic. I'm backing my dark horse in the Champions League this year.
Who's your dark horse?
I announced that on Twitter as soon as I saw the draw. Newcastle. I think you guys got a fantastic chance.
You're not tagging me into your Twitters no more. Like I
no, your memory is bad. You sent me a dark horse in response.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, folks. That's my fault. No, Bobby's absolutely right. I did. It's my fault. Well, that would be something. Well, that would be something because speaking of dark horses, so we're here. This was our lineup against Barcelona, St James's Park. Obviously, the game finished 1-1 after even folks can see on the left here them attacking momentum. But I don't think it's too much to say that Newcastle, I think, more than edged this game. We started with a front three of Osola, Elanga, and Barnes, and Gordon was on the bench. Now, Eddie Howe was saying how Gordon had an illness that he's recovering from, which is possible because Woltemade had it too. Jacob Ramsey had it a little bit earlier. It's possible. There's a sneaky feeling in my mind that Eddie Howe was being a bit clever, perhaps reserving Gordon.
Do you think it was tactical?
Possible, but I think Arkham's razor says that there was illness in the camp, and so Gordon was, and they probably trained and focused their press with Osola all leading up to the game itself. And if you see the game, you wouldn't have seen it because you were watching Chelsea, but for the folks that see the game,
no, we were on different days. So I watched your game. Different days. I watched your game. I absolutely watched your game. I was listening to Jordy Dredd in the background.
Oh yeah. Our press was terrific. I think our press was absolutely terrific, and it had to be against Barcelona, and it sort of not quite irked me, but I'm quite happy about this because what people keep on saying, and what I think Barcelona players and Hansi Flick is saying, unless it's been really crafty, is talking about Barcelona. We were off our game, and we'll be better in Nou Camp, rather than saying, "Wow, that Newcastle press was really, really good. We need to fix up." The only person that really said anything about it was Pedro. And Pedro was saying that Joe Linton is something else.
I saw that. But did you see Yamal also made some comments? You saw his comments?
No. I haven't seen it.
Sorry, I don't want to misquote him, but you should look it up. He similarly talked about the experience.
What did he say? Give me the kind of like a round.
No, it was along the same lines, you know. I mean, we should look it up. I can't remember it exactly, but it is worth Googling to see what he said. I did share with you the Pedri comment. Is that the one where he was saying when Joe Linton comes at him, he's scared?
Yeah. So, and he made a big difference to us, and I can't help but feel that if he played against Man City the game earlier, there's a possibility he would have made it through to the FA Cup. But instead of Woltemade, but he's been absolutely terrific. It was absolutely terrific in that. Our midfield in that game, Joe Linton, Tonali, and Jacob Ramsey, absolutely phenomenal. Jacob Ramsey. I don't think it's too far to say. Maybe folks in the chat can correct me. When I say this, I don't mean that we're not gonna. He isn't still the best player on our team, but I don't think we've missed Bruno that much because of Jacob Ramsey.
He's actually been quite pretty impressive for the last 3 games, huh? And he's playing a lot deeper than I thought he could.
He's and he's really good at traveling with the ball, giving us control. It started off when we were playing PSG away, and he really took the game, and I thought he was phenomenal then.
Got it.
And we just really isolated Lewandowski up front, and we kind of forced through our press. And he was never going to win a one-on-one duel with Dan Burn. Trippier did his thing. Lewis Hall, goodness gracious me, and just like
Man,
who is it? James said it here. Lewis Hall was obnoxiously good, as much as I think Liamar was only left out for the penalty.
the way he was blowing past those guys,
Insane,
right? The
insane,
ball, the close
insane,
control, the bursts of
insane.
speed, just pulling away from them. And those are not slow players.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's like he wanted to prove, showed he kind of, he wanted to test his, he wanted to see like what are you guys really about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how
He
good
was
am I?
mad.
It's proven to be very good. I don't know if folks in the chat remember, I was saying this in the game, what I really like about Lewis Hall is, and people got to see it, is when he tackles a player or gets the ball off a player, he doesn't just hoof it or pass it straight away. He'll do that little 360, 180 turn, whatever, probably 180 turn around the player. And like I said, go with the burst of speed. It's up to you if you can get the ball off him. But he's gonna release it when he wants to release it. That's the kind of feeling you get from him. His positioning was superb. His off the ball work was incredible. His dribbling, I don't know how many players have got past in certain situations. Uh, he
I think he
was.
needs a rest this weekend. He really worked hard. I think you should leave him on the bench this weekend.
I bet you too. I think
Give
no.
him a rest.
I think he probably will be. To be honest, I think you're probably gonna have Dan Burn at left back and Sven Botman in
Wow.
central. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you're gonna get that. I think you're gonna get that treatment. And
Well,
you're
look,
probably gonna see.
go on.
Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. No, no, go on.
I was slightly changing the topic because I was going to make the observation on your attackers as well, and it'd be interesting to see who you rest. So if you
Uh-huh.
got Burn at left back, as you were suggesting, which has never worked out well for you guys, by the way, I'm not sure why you would do that. You sure that Livermento isn't going to play at left back?
I think actually that's a good one. No, because Trippier needs rest as well. So I think
Got
I
it.
think Livermento comes back a right back.
Got it. So I mean, I think you might give Barnes a rest and possibly have Gordon. But the observation I was making about your lineup is you created a lot, had some good chances, but didn't have that clinical finish, right? And it's probably reflective of the fact that, you've got a junior striker there. Elanga is not necessarily known for being able to strike the ball. Barnes is probably the only attacker there, and his conversion rate is very good for the position that he plays, but he's not an out and out striker. So I think the outcome, if you like, to me reflected the composition of the team that Eddie Howe put out. Just from an
Yes.
attacking perspective, right? You just didn't have
Yeah.
that clinical edge to convert the chances that you were creating.
Well, Bobby, you're right. I was saying on the show, in the match preview show, I did say, I said, Newcastle will create chances like that because as like we will have those moments. That I'm not even worried about that. The only thing that's going to be crucial is, are we going to take those moments? Are we going to take those situations? Which, as you said, Bobby, in the Champions League, these moments are absolutely crucial. And we were 30 seconds away. Well, it was the last kick of the game. Or two last kicks of the game. One was Chow fouling Danny Elmo in the penalty box, and then the other one was Lamar dispatching the penalty. And Malik Chad had a fantastic game as well. So there's nothing on him.
Do you think Eddie was being a little bit greedy at that stage? You think he could have sat back a little bit more?
People keep on saying that, and I understand where people are coming from. But I don't blame Eddie, and I think he made the right decision by going for it.
Right.
Like he was telling Dan Burn that Dan Burn was going to stay back, and he was saying, Dan Burn, go up front, try and get this. Because if we're 2-0 up now, like you said it yourself, the Champions League is made for moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're 2-0 up, we give ourselves such a cushion to go into the new camp. And I know now we've got no cushion, but you could still defend and lose. And I just felt like in that moment, it was important to I don't blame Eddie for doing that. It's a moment's competition, and we tried to take our moment. It didn't work out. I think that's what it was.
I
Yeah,
mean, that was not a post-match diagnosis. I mean, I think in the moment I do recall saying, "Why is Newcastle not a little bit more compact at this stage?"
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah.
but then the thought I quickly had afterwards is it was a decent gamble to take because taking a lead to a second leg affects the psychology of the team going
Yeah,
into it.
yeah,
And having to go there and win is potentially better than going there to sit back and allow that midfield to unpick you. Because
yes,
that midfield can,
yes,
right?
it can. Absolutely.
So I think sitting back against them is potentially dangerous. It'll affect the mindset, but you guys know now that you have to go there and do something, which means that
Yeah,
you're going to shut out the crowd. I think it was a decent outcome in the end. Feels a little deflating, but I actually am optimistic for you that you'll go into that match with the right mindset,
yeah,
knowing
I
that
agree
you
with you.
have to win it.
Yeah, I agree on the psychology, especially when I think the players will know, Eddie will know that we were the better team in performance wise. And I think what I'm liking is I think the Barcelona players haven't quite. I know, and I don't blame them for this, but they are they are a superior team in different ways, but styles make fights, and I don't think they've quite accepted it how we pressed them off the park, and I
Mhm.
think they're just taking it for granted that the new camp they will switch it on and smash us. And I think there's going to be pressure and expectancy from them and from their fans to go and put, because again, in St. James's Park, they were kind of in the relative mid block. Like the first 5, 10 minutes, they tried to do the high block thing and they said the high press thing, and then they said, oh, no, no, this is bad. We can't do this. And then they went to mid block, but they can't really do that at the new camp. There's going to be an expectancy. And I
Mhm.
think that's going to open up space for us. Um,
That high
uh,
line is probably going to advance 10 yards in the new camp, and you guys are
it
going to,
has to.
and Gordon is going to enjoy
And
that.
Gordon is going to be there. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Robert Drug says, Phil, don't listen to Bobby about dark horses. These top six fans, especially if they won the Champions League, are very Machiavellian like that, like that. It's the hope that kills you. Oh gosh.
But
Me,
here's the thing. Here's the thing, Wolverjog. What I remember is last year's Carabao Cup semi-final. Okay, um, against Arsenal. All right, when you thumped them at St James's Park. I think Newcastle. It was a Carabao Cup that you won, right? And
it
you
was,
got
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right
yeah,
there through
yeah,
Arsenal. So I could understand Wolverjog's sensitivity to that comment, but
yeah.
but I think this is why I like your side of the draw for Newcastle. To me, the teams that you're up against are ones that will find your style of play quite difficult.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Arsenal is a different team this year. So I think you're probably going to get less joy against them when it reaches that stage. But
Possibly
let's not be too
semi-finals if we.
let's not be too presumptuous. Correct.
Exactly, exactly. James says, absolutely agree. Jacob Ramsey has been the surprise success from one of our transfers. Do you know the only person it wasn't a surprise to was Eddie Howe? I'll just add that. And James says, unfortunately, we don't have another left back and will likely save Tino as well at the moment. He could only do 45 minutes. And James says, I think he could do 65 minutes going back to Barcelona later, Tino. Oh, smart. Oh, yeah, Trippier. Whoa, we're going to kind of speak about the lineup in a moment. And we're going to do a little bit of tactics board in a moment. I just want to quickly go to the table itself. Obviously, we're playing in the Premier League. Let me make sure you guys can see that. You can see that. Um, Chelsea are currently fifth with 48 points and doing really well in terms of your overall numbers. I know that you were saying, and it could still be the case, that you kind of expected a fall of this during this period. Now, I know that also before you come in, Bobby, that the XG on FOTMob is different to yours because of the weighted goals and expectancy.
Yeah.
But these guys have you guys in third.
I think my model has something similar. I'll just
Well,
look
does
at
it?
it.
Okay.
I'll just look at it very
You're
quickly.
slightly, and the interesting thing is to them, you're underperforming your XG, your goals by 4, which is interesting. And, well, to be honest as well, you're quite fortunate with your XGA, goals conceded, where they're saying teams should have scored at least 5 more goals against you, which I think you don't disagree with.
Yeah,
But
we've always been winning that metric in this table for the last 2 years, and that's why I always just consider
it's true.
Maresca
That is
very
true.
lucky.
That is true. That is true. It has us in 6th. And it has other teams being very lucky against us, nearly by 7 goals, and us underperforming our goals by 2. Whereas, obviously, in reality, we are currently 12th on 39 points. And what's your initial thoughts on that, Bobby? Do you think
So
that's a fair reflection onto your table as well?
yeah, my performance table has Chelsea also in third, so it mirrors the XG table, and it has Newcastle in seventh. So I think when you looked at the XG table, where was Newcastle just now in sixth?
6th, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, my table is not that far off of what the raw XG table is saying. So, guys, just by way of background, some of you have sat through this technical discussion before, but basically, what I do is to combine expected goal difference with actual goal difference in a 2-to-1 ratio. So that is really to introduce some of the execution quality into the XG metric, and it's what betting houses use to make predictions. That's how I developed it. So I think Chelsea is probably underperforming the manager's tactics. A lot of that has been a hangover from Maresca. Maresca's tactics were, reasonably productive. This is where it comes back to, you can put a player in the position, but is it the right player for that position, right? So you can juice your XG by getting a Garnacho into a good position, but then is he going to execute is a different question.
Yeah.
So and Enzo Fernandez is an XG merchant. Okay, he's probably responsible for 30 or 40% of our XG. But in terms of actual output, the execution quality actually is not there. But look, I think Eddie Howe has been the team has been underperforming Eddie Howe's tactics all season in the league in particular, and I think that's where your sympathy for the job that he's been doing comes from, because you've been studying those metrics. So he is doing the right job. The question again comes back to personnel and execution. The other thing I would say is this season, to me, reinforced Eddie Howe's reputation, fair or otherwise, where and again, the metrics don't support what I'm saying, right? Because as I said, he's coaching a 6th, 7th place team, but that's not the position he's actually in the points table. But Eddie Howe has a reputation for focusing on one competition at a time, which actually might not be a bad strategy, right? And I think he's found himself in a really interesting position where he's on a favorable side of the draw, in my mind. He's just shown to Newcastle fans that, hey, we can compete with Barcelona. So you guys have got a good chance. So I'm hoping that coming into this weekend, this is a pointless game for him. He does some great.
I was thinking, where's this going? Where's this going?
Right? All right, there's no worry about relegation. The only chance for Europe is to win the Champions League. So send out the kids on the weekend.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Sorry to break it to you, but Eddie Howe played almost his full squad against Karabag. I think you commented on it. I feel like you commented on it because we were like 6-0 up and he still played Gordon nearly like the whole 90 minutes. So
So,
Eddie Howe is.
I dropped off for a second there. I missed your comment.
No, I was saying how it's unlikely to happen because even when we were 6-0 up against Karabakh in the second leg, he
Yeah.
still played Gordon like nearly the full 90 minutes. He literally played almost the full team. And so he's unlikely to do it versus Chelsea. Plus, if you go back to actually to the
Wait,
table,
hold it. But Karabag is the UCL, so that kind of reinforces my point. That's his area of
but the
focus.
game was already won, though, is what I was saying. That the game was already won at 6-0. You would imagine that you don't need to do that for the second leg.
Right.
Is what I was
got it.
saying. So
Yeah.
that was it. But it goes back to actually what I was going to say, why I think we're still going to. So I slightly disagree on the one cup focus. I think we try to win every cup. We've been unfortunate this year. For instance, we've played every time we've got knocked out so far. Domestic cups has been City in the League Cup, City in the FA Cup. We're playing Premier League. We don't get to play Port Vales and Mansfield like some teams. We don't.
Struggle.
Literally, and people will tell you on the channel, every team we played in the League Cup and obviously the League Cup, but in the FA Cup, were Premier League teams, all of them.
You had a difficult draw. You did have difficult draws.
Honestly, so that's where we've been at. And for us, for me anyway, and I'm sure people, I think it's obviously it's like almost 0.5, 0.0% chance to get Champions League. But I would want us to get into the top 7 positions. And no matter the fact that Chelsea comes at a very awkward time for us, I think it's important for us to go to Chelsea and I think Howe will know this as well, with the intent to win. So
sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say. So I think we're gonna. I think it's going to field the strongest team possible. You're going to see changes in my starting lineup, probably about 3, maybe 4. So go on, Bobby.
No, I was just asking you to. How is your? I thought you were finished just now. I was going to ask, how has your away form been? Because I know that there was a big difference recently.
Jeez, where are we? Near relegation. That's not away. Is that away?
That is away.
Oh, I got confused because it was showing the Man United result, but I realized it shows home and away on here. But that's the away form.
Interesting.
Which is not good.
And have a look at Chelsea's home form.
Home form for Chelsea is... Oh, wow.
That might make you feel a little bit better.
What's changed? Why is that? Well, you still got 23 goals to 16. Like, you're still healthy. You drew to Leeds at home. Burnley at home. Arsenal's away. Yeah, you smashed up Villa. What's up with that? Do you have a theory on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think look, there's a lot of apathy among supporters right now. A lot of people are feeling disconnected from the club as a starting point.
Right.
So there are games now where you can actually get tickets where you couldn't get tickets before.
Wow.
So you're starting to see the impact of the blue coat model. You know, they did a lot to alienate fans in their first 3 years, right? You know, dismantling Cobham, selling all the Cobham players. Like, these guys don't get that, you know, having their own in the team is part of British football and the culture and keeps fans engaged, right? So there've been a number of things that they did to alienate fans, and then the performances obviously have been incredibly disappointing. So you have low ticket take up. You've got a lot of people putting their tickets back into the exchange. You've got a number of tourists coming in. So, and look, this is happening at a number of grounds across the EPL. You're hearing a number of clubs complaining about their home form, right? So generally, I think the tribalism among fans, the fervor among fans in home grounds have been suffering this season. But I think the circumstances are also a bit unique for Chelsea, given the relationship between the fans and the owners currently. So it's been a pretty poor atmosphere, and I think the players are a little bit nervous as well because they know generally the fans are just not happy about where we are, given the amount of investment that have been made in them as players.
I didn't realize it was that bad where you got tickets that are available for games like that. I didn't realize that was the circumstances. I knew there was turmoil in the background a little bit, especially a division at least from fans and the owners. I didn't realize it got to the stage where people simply aren't turning up to games. I didn't know that was that bad.
Yeah, tickets being available 2 days before a game, a day before the game is unheard of in the past.
That's unheard of. That is unheard of.
And you can get tickets to games.
Adrian says, "How would do better play in a system his squad could execute?" Well, they could execute it, but I think how, in my view, Adrian is coaching a team. And in fact, I don't even think Bobby would disagree with this because he's kind of his table and everything else is indicating it is that the system that is towards an elite team, like it's towards what how the big six teams line up, and that's where you want your team to be. So
it's a personnel issue, right?
Yeah, it's a personnel issue, and it was really, really evident against Barcelona as well. You don't want to end up playing, and actually, it's not even Brentford anymore because they're playing better now. But you don't want to play like Brentford when they first got promoted, or us when we were under Steve Bruce, right? So, yeah, I think there's players have to take responsibility. We were set up to win.
But look, I mean, to be fair to Eddie as well, he has been looking for solutions. He's not been stubborn, like Emery, for example, right? So
yeah.
You observe that he's actually changed the front line. He's got Gordon playing in the 9. He wasn't doing that at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Right. So he is in fact doing different things, to be fair to him. Look, I mean, I'm constantly harsh on him by talking about this one tournament focus.
You haven't called him Eddie Howler once today, which is crazy.
I have not. I don't usually do it live on stream to be respectful. But look, he's been looking for solutions, right? And he's doing different things. Put in Woltemade in the 8 to see how that works in some of the games. So it's not like he's being stubborn. He's moving around the personnel to try to fit square pegs in square holes, and make him do where he can. So I think, in fairness to him, he is trying to cater to the team's strengths. Adrian, that would be my outside perspective.
Great question, Adrian, and great answer, Bobby. James says, Bobby, he's very known not to play the kids. It's my Eddie Howe, but
that was just a hope of mine, James.
Well, you can still see Lewis Hall and Tina Livramento as kids when we bought them.
No, those are grown men. Those are proper elite players.
I'll tell you what, if we had Cobham, if we had our own version of Cobham at Benton, I think we'll play a lot more of our kids, and I think hopefully we'll get there one day.
Well, listen, having said that, if you're being listened to by the hierarchy, those clowns at Blue Coast sacked the entire Cobham team. They're all available. You should actually take them.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I'll be super interested to see where those guys go. But would they want to leave London?
I mean, for the right dollar, I'm sure they would. But those guys are mint. The amount of product
Yeah.
That when I say product, I mean players that they have put out there into the system since Roman created Cobham and the concept of Cobham. So if you recall, there's a guy by the name of Emanalo, Michael
Yeah.
Emanalo,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So he's now head of the Saudi league. I think he's like the CEO of the Saudi league, but he actually, when he was there, Roman, he came in as a scout, and Roman, I'm kind of diverting here, but
Do your
just to
thing.
your point, yeah, they he was hired as a scout at first, but then made his way to being a director, and he had the vision for Cobham because we always understood that our stadium was too small to support the revenues that we needed to compete at the
Mm.
top end of the league. So we did have an idea of cultivating talent internally to put into our loan program.
Yeah.
Right, so that's how we used to generate revenue under Roman to balance the books was through loan revenue. So that's why you're seeing the likes of Livermore, Lewis Hall, a number of them playing in Italy right now, sold for decent fees. It's really something that Newcastle should look at.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Um, and I think it's one thing having an idea of what you want to do, but it's another how they've executed it. Like they they've brought in like a winning culture that they I don't do you know what I mean? There's a mentality about the Cobham players and the academy players that you can see. And I think those staff, whoever they are, did a phenomenal job kind of fostering that.
Yeah, because what they were trying to do was to dominate the youth leagues, right? The various youth
Yeah, exactly.
competitions. So
Exactly.
Chalaba and those guys had a lot of titles under their belts as they were coming through. So they knew how to win competitions.
And you had to win competitions. Exactly. Exactly. Right. So James, well done for sending in your starting lineup. And folks, send in your starting lineup. Feel free to send in your score predictions from now. As me and Bobby are talking, James says James has got Ramsdale, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Hall, Sandro, J7, Anthony Gordon, Barnes, Elanga, and Voltemada because he did very well against you, Bobby. Well, he's got a really strong lineup here. Before I say my lineup, and by the way, big up to Dave, hey Philip, hey Bobby. Sorry I'm late to the show. No, the main thing is that you're here. The main
Big up,
thing is that
Dave.
you're here, Dave. God bless you, sir. How about you? Home ground guest, not guest, friend of the channel. Who's in your starting lineup?
I think we can expect. Oh, this is an interesting one. Palmer
Can
did
you
come
see? Is the
off.
screen big?
I can, yeah. It works well
Yeah,
for me. Um, I think we can. So you've populated here the Champions League starting lineup, yeah. So I think
yeah,
what we
yeah.
can expect. Gusto came off. I'm expecting him. Do I expect him to start? I expect him to start to save Reece for the return leg against PSG next week. So I
Okay.
expect that Reece is going to be dropped. I don't know if Fofana can play 2 games in a row yet. I think they're still managing him to some extent. So I think we can expect potentially who was that new defender we brought from Strasbourg? I can't
Sar,
remember. Sar.
Sar.
But potentially you would see a Sar Chalaba um, centre back partnership. Right,
Okay.
because Fofana did quite a bit of running in that game. Santos is going to take James's spot in midfield.
Where is he? Uh, where is he? Where is he? Badashil, Sanchez. Here we go. Santos.
Yeah. Caicedo will start. He doesn't have a problem doing back-to-back games when they're going to need him. Enzo Fernandez will start. So the only question in my mind is whether or not Neto starts on the right with Garnacho on the left. I think you could potentially see Atto coming in for Cucurella as well.
Neto for Cucurella. What'd you say about Neto and Palmer?
So put Palmer on the bench,
Okay.
and Neto on the right, Garnacho on the left.
Ah, right. Okay. Where is Garnacho? Here we go. And Pedro
Not,
starts as well.
yeah, he's a given. I mean, I can't see them.
Not Delap.
I mean, possibly. Look, he's gonna have I don't know if Rosinha is gonna write off next week, right? But I think he still needs something from this game, and Delap is in. He doesn't have any confidence at all. I don't think putting Delap against your two centre backs is a good idea, just from a
We've been
confidence
linked.
perspective.
We've been very heavily linked to him. I don't know if you've seen it on X, and also kind of been announced by some of our local journalists.
I heard
I
you
thought,
talk about it on your last stream.
yeah, I did, I did,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did. I think he suits the way we play and what we're doing for sure. So I'm quite. If that were to happen, I'm quite upbeat about that. Okay, so that's your starting lineup.
That's what I
I
think.
am.
That's what I think he's gonna do. Not necessarily my choice of a starting lineup, but that's what I think he's gonna do. I think these players are capable of playing back-to-back games, and you have to do that at some point. But I think this is what they're gonna do.
I agree. I think Eddie Howe's got a careful balancing act. I think he's got a just like Rosinia does, which is you still got to field a team that's capable of winning the game, but you've also want your squad to be fresh enough and ready enough for what's going to be a hugely intense and big tie against Barcelona. Intensity is our biggest strength when it comes to Barcelona because we're not gonna beat them any other way really. Uh, So I think he's going to box clever. I think he keeps Ramsdale. I do think there will be, from what I've seen, Trippier. I just heard the other day actually has started 12 games in a row, and now I think it's 13, including the Barcelona game.
That's wild
Um, that is wild
for his
for a
age.
36 year for
Yeah.
for his age. Exactly, that's exactly it. And I think Trippier and Hall will be. I think it's going to save. The other thing though is when I say save this player, save that player. Some players there is obviously and for both of our teams really where they still some players do better with at least some game time, whether that's coming on or starting and being subbed off at 60 minutes. There is that. So I'm totally open to I wouldn't be surprised if Hall starts, but I think with Livramento back, there's more of a chance of Hall playing right back. He might get and at least stepping in that direction, and then Burns stepping in at left back. Midfield wise,
But before you move on from your
yeah,
fullback,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I, How did something pretty interesting against City, where he had Hall at right back, which made no sense to me at all. But
Yeah.
it kind of gave me the sense of his confidence in Hall's fitness and his ability to play back-to-back games. I thought that would have been an opportunity to rest Hall, given the injury record this season. It was a surprising decision, but he obviously got done that based on the medical advice. But I can see Hall if he's got that level of confidence in Hall's fitness. I'm agreeing with you that potentially I can see him starting as well.
Exactly. And it keeps the balance because then what could happen is Hall stays and it's a bit more of a straight swap with Burn and Botman. Where's Botman? Where's Botman? Did I not take him on? Where is he? Here we go. Botman. Where's Gordon, Harrison, Kraft, Bruno, Aiden. Where's Botman? Is he hiding behind one of the players? Yeah, I think he must be hiding behind one of the players. That's Wissa, Miley. Here we go. So therefore, it's a little bit more straight with Livramento. Where's Livramento? Livramento. and that would be our first choice centre back pairing. So you might get a bit of that. That would be super interesting if Howe does this. If
But
Howe does, go on.
I'm just wondering, does Howe need to win this game? And I'm not saying that as a Chelsea fan, but I'm just thinking about the task next week.
I think momentum is so crucial, and I think what I'm learning, I'm sure Eddie Howe's learning, is that there is no game that you can just not try to not win. That momentum is so crucial, and I think
Rhythm.
that feeling, yeah, that rhythm. Sorry, that rhythm is so crucial, and I think that feeling of I left as a fan. I truly believe that Eddie Howe and the players believe this. I think they believe that they can beat Barcelona. I do think they believe it. Like we've played them twice now. The first time it took a wonder goal from Rashford to beat us, and we had the higher XG in that game as well. And the second time, obviously, everyone's seen it. I believe we can beat them, and
You're
the
not that
players.
small countryside team anymore. You're definitely not that
No,
countryside team anymore.
no, exactly. And we're not walking around. We've got draws at PSG where clubs can now see is getting getting points. We're the only English club to still be unbeaten with PSG. So yeah, and look, 60 minutes, Hall can come off, but Burn comes left back.
Got it.
60 minutes, Livramento can come off, Trippier comes on a right back. Like, it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's still okay. I do though think there's a thing with Joe Linton, and he highlighted his strength. Voltamada isn't good there, and there's something makes me wonder that he might take off Joe Linton, but he wouldn't want Voltamada in that midfield. It's either Joe Linton or Barnes that he takes off, because I think what happens is, where's Gordon? I think Gordon starts. Um, uh, he might be tempted to play Osolo on the right instead of Ilanga. There could be that. But I think Gordon starts and Willock
For Joe Linton. Yeah.
for
I
Joe
can see that.
Linton.
I can see that. And Willock has been playing pretty well recently, hasn't he?
He has. He's really picked it up. Yeah. Something tells me, though, Howe will be tempted to do this, though. Because put it this way, Chelsea. I was looking at the data MB stats. You pretty much dominate every kind of metric against us, apart from just about the press and physicality. If Newcastle are going to and even if we press, you're extremely good at your counters. If anything, for Newcastle and for Eddie Howe, this is like a good pre-game to Barcelona.
Yeah. No, fair.
So why not test your mettle against Chelsea with Joe Linton and Willock and our midfield pressing up? This is it's. You mentioned the midfield. This is where it's going to be won, in my opinion. It's going to be one here. Joe Linton Santos, Tonali Fernandez, we know how that's going to go physically. Ramsey and Casado is going to be rough. But Joe Linton Santos, and I just think that's going to be crucial. Gordon from the front press. I can really see, and Garnacho Livramento is a good start for Livramento if he has a chance to go at the new camp. So that's why I think he starts.
Yeah.
Hall Neto is going to be a battle. Hall will be feeling himself after the Amal stuff.
I don't think you
If any,
want Burn against Neto, right?
no, not ideally, no.
That could get ugly.
People always say that, but Hall Burn, yeah, he. I'm not saying advocating for him to be a left back, but I'm not overly down on him at being a left back. He's got a really good positional sense, in my point of view. I mean,
Look, just to make a
go on,
comment on that
go.
before I lose the thought as well, because I was thinking about that earlier. Hall and how much time Hall spends on the pitch might depend on who starts on the right side for Chelsea, right? Because if that is Cole Palmer, you can take Hall off earlier,
And it's
and I think
Burn. It'll be
and
Burn.
bring Burn on at halftime.
Yeah, yeah,
To just give Hall that rest. And you're not dealing with pace in this instance. You're dealing with position.
exactly.
If it's Neto, then you probably yeah. So I hear you. I could see Lewis Hall starting from that perspective. Now, Andres Santos, he won the most duels in France last year, so he's not a bad duel winner. So that's going
Absolutely.
to be a really interesting matchup against Joe Linton. The only comment I would make here is that you've got your most injury prone players on the pitch here. I think. I mean, is that a fair comment?
Who are you referring to?
Hall, Joe Linton, and Livramento. Right? These are guys that have been carrying injuries over the last couple of years. Is that a fair
Yeah,
statement to
I
make?
wouldn't disagree. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah,
And to me, it's just too much of a risk given what's happening on Wednesday.
yeah. I think it's. I think yes. I also think rhythm. Like I think that is going to be so crucial. Um, for both teams because I think Eddie Howe will know that Liam can't just give up on the PSG game. He can't do that. The Chelsea fans won't allow him to do that. And I think both managers will know we're going to give this a good 60 minutes. The first 60 minutes is going to be absolutely crucial. How this game pans out.
This game is more important for Rossinia than Champions League, and it's the reverse for Newcastle in my mind.
It's more important internally for Rosinia because I think he can't openly admit we're not going to beat PSG. I think he has to continue the facade that he believes that he can beat PSG.
I think right
Eddie
now
Howe,
fans have written that off. To be honest,
do you reckon? Okay.
yeah, that's my just based on a just my instinct here is fans are now petrified about not making top five. He is under severe pressure to win this game on the weekend. Otherwise, it will get ugly in Stamford Bridge this weekend. And therefore, the only reason I think Palmer doesn't start is out of fitness, right? Because he is struggling with that injury. But otherwise, Eddie Howe knows that Rossinia has to win this game. So it's kind of like a little bit of the opposite of what you were just saying, if you like. I don't think he's focused. I don't think he's going to be focused on on Tuesday at all.
Okay. I'm going to say he is.
Okay.
I think I think Chelsea gave him a very good opportunity to keep his team fine tuned for Barcelona. He has to be smart. I think after 60 minutes he's not going to care too much. That's
Sorry,
what I, that's
he being Rossinia, right?
no Eddie Howe.
Okay, no, I'm talking about Rossinia. So I think what I'm saying is that Rossinia needs to win this Newcastle game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him for Tuesday. If he doesn't advance on Tuesday, the fans have already written that off. He fails this game on the weekend, it's going to be long for him.
Yeah, but Eddie Howe is still a very long way from winning the Champions League, right?
Well, I'm talking about. I'm
To
talking about. I'm talking about Rocinha.
I know, but I'm
Okay,
also trying to say why this is important to Eddie
got it.
Howe. So I think
Got
it's
it.
important to Eddie Howe
Yeah.
to win as well. He can't he can't afford to just bank everything at Barcelona at the new camp. Like I'm gonna just not play anybody essentially and bank on the new camp. And I think there'll be different players that play differently. Hall's really playing well, and um, he wants to keep him fine tuned and kind of keep going and see where it goes. He doesn't have to play the full 90 minutes. I don't think he will, and just keep going essentially. Gordon would be here as well. I think the main thing. So I think it's difficult to say who's more under pressure to win, and because it depends on the fan base and what the demands of the board and everything else. But I think this is you guys are still in the FA Cup, for instance. We're not. Like this is probably it's the Premier League and Champions League that are our only hope for kind of Europe, and it's more likely that we're going to get something from the Premier League as well. And really, Eddie Howe takes things game by game. Yeah. So I think I get the feeling that you think I've chosen a very strong lineup, right? Let me see what the chat's saying. Dave says, "Are we expecting Newcastle to line up the same as Barca, or you think Eddie will have one eye on Wednesday?" Well, that's what we're going through that at the moment. We're trying to untangle it. I think the big thing for me will be rhythm. I think Eddie Howe will play it cool and play it like that. Um, James says Romeo Lavia or Garnacho will likely be. Ooh, I feel I started on Saturday. What's happening with Lavia, Bobby?
He seems to be. He's not necessarily match fit. So I
Yeah,
think if all right, so he's his minutes are being managed by the medical team.
yeah.
Um, he did start, I believe, the FA Cup from memory.
Mm.
Sorry, so he's come back and appeared in 3 games so far. The first game off the bench, he was very good, and he typically comes in and you're like, who's this guy? Geez, if we just have him full time. But then he starts the next game and he was a little bit sloppy. You can see the lack of match fitness. Came on against PSG for a few minutes, was pretty unremarkable, I thought. I can't see him starting, particularly with his strength and the physicality of your midfield. I think they're still, nursing him along. He will get minutes, so I expect that he'll replace Andres Santos at some point in the game. Um, but yeah, I can't see him starting on the weekend.
Okay, okay. Dave says some players thrive on playing every game. Ramsey has been outstanding since he has started playing 3 games a week. Yeah, absolutely. He's taken on. He's a man who's embracing that responsibility. I totally agree. James says, "I wish it was Ramsey that red card ruins it for us." No, he's playing.
Which red
Don't
card?
tell me
It
he's
was a red
off.
card?
Is he? He had a red card against Man United, but he couldn't play against them. As a result, let me double check this. As a
It
result,
was a
has
second yellow,
United?
right? So you one
Yeah,
suspended, 1 game suspended.
yeah. Let me just double. Jacob Ramsey available to play Chelsea. Please tell me yes.
When was that
uh,
red card? Let me see if I can pull up Newcastle here.
in terms of
Because you will need to revisit your lineup.
oh whoa.
Yeah, it was the Manchester United game. Was it a straight red?
Yeah,
Or was
no.
it a second yellow?
Second
It was a second
yellow.
yellow.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's available.
he's available.
Yeah,
That's
it was a
you had
second
me
yellow. I see
spooked.
her. Yeah, he's
You
going to
had
be
us
available.
spooked, James. You had us spooked. Well, you had me spooked, not not Bobby. Dave says same with Elanga now. He's getting games. He's improving. Wow, Dave. Um, I think Elanga's trying very, very, very hard. Um, he's trying very very hard. I'll put it that way. But I like that you're seeing he's trying. He's trying. That's the most I can say at the moment. Will Tino start, says Mo? I believe he will. Dave says, I think Tino has to start. Trips has played so many games. I agree. Wobbledrug's got a question for you, Bobby. Wobbledrug says, Bobby, are you seeing a drop in Casado performance due to amount of mints he's played, or is it just me? I'm also seeing this with Zubamendi, by the way.
I think Zubamendi and Caicedo are both suffering a bit from confidence. I think they both share that from the perspective that Zubamendi has made a few mistakes, and then Caicedo has not been the same since his last red card. I think the players are now feeling the effects of the criticism of the indiscipline, right? They recognize that they have a problem, and I think he was disappointed in himself. And Caicedo has not been the same since that red card. I can't remember. I was trying to look at the history here to see which game it was. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Obajog. I think his confidence has dropped a little, and he's now, he's less confident with his tackling and that kind of thing because of that disciplinary issue. He's actually one yellow card away from suspension in the UCL. So again, things like that affect his performance. All right, so he's, for example, wasn't going in for tackles as he'd ordinarily would in the last game against PSG.
James says he thinks that J.K. Ramos in the 3-match suspension, but I don't know, guys. If anybody can, I'm pretty confident that he's served his one. I think he had 1 match suspension. He served it.
No, James, is one match for double yellow. It's only dangerous tackles, dangerous reds.
Yeah. Adrian says your fans are petrified. Speaking to you, Bobby, of not making top 4. Imagine how ours feel.
Well, I mean, Adrian, that's already a given, isn't it? I mean, I don't think you guys are thinking about top 5 anymore. The only way you guys get this done is to win the Champions League. And that's why I think Eddie Howe is going to be focused on that.
I think Europe, however it comes, is going to be important for us. James says, unless I'm getting my rules wrong, I thought a double yellow card is still no. It's a one. Wobbledrug, the Renegades against Arsenal. Remember that game?
I think that's it, Wobbledrug. Yeah, I was looking at the history to see when that red card was, but yes, he's not been the same since.
Wow.
Crisis of confidence.
So, Bobby, let's go through this, because for me, and we'll see what I'm going to go. I think what Eddie Howe's and what Newcastle's main strengths are going to be. It's going to be the press, and it's going to be our physicality. And Jurgensen obviously had a real. Do you think Jurgensen's still going to be in goal for you, or is it back to Sanchez?
That's a really, really sticky situation, and Rossinia's credibility could be in the mud. Wow. I mean, I don't understand. Look, I can't be critical of the decision he made, but you have to take a step back and say, why did Sanchez lose his form? And I think what Rossinia has done, you see, this is the problem with these system managers, okay? He's come in and he wants to implement his system, and he wants his goalkeeper to play out from the back. The same nonsense that Maresca started at first with Sanchez. Then all of a sudden you saw Sanchez not taking as many chances, and he started to look better over time. Rossini has come in and basically changed that up a bit, asking more of the goalkeeper. Sanchez cannot deliver that. His confidence was shot. Rossini made the change. And this guy is just not good enough. None of them are good enough, frankly, but this guy is worse. So the question becomes, now that you've screwed up Sanchez and this guy is not performing, where does this leave him? So it's going to be a really interesting selection. If I were him, I would persist with Jorgensen because his credibility is on the line.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you have it. You
The
had
fans are
trouble playing
furious.
up. No, I can imagine. I can imagine. You had trouble playing from out the back and against PSG, and I felt like it's because you kept on trying to go central. I think this would be just looking at it from a. I think this would be very dangerous to start doing this again. Um,
Cool. We can see it. You're seeing it playing out right away, right? Gordon with
yeah,
that
yeah,
tape,
yeah.
shutting that shit down.
Like this could be like this is so the way around it obviously is for you to go around. There's either you either go around or you go over, right? If you go around, I mean, he's going to be pretty good to kind of. Which side would you prefer? Do you guys prefer to play out? Because if you go around, you got Hato and the Langa. It depends on how Gordon wants to close him down, where we want to force him to. So, say if we want to force him to Chalobah's side, Gordon will close up the passing lane here, and you'll have Willock and Hall like this to force it to go to Chalobah, right? With Ramsey on Casado. And Casado's still really good from back to goal. So I think uh, this might be the side that you choose to go down. And Pedro's, in my opinion, really good at kind of closing down play. So this might be the channel for you, and just to test out Livramento as well. So this is going to be a really, really kind of interesting battle. Um, unless we do a bit of swapsies with Ramsey and Tonali and get Tonali onto Casado, that would be a bit interesting. And we play off like that with Ramsey and Fernandez. Because I don't, Fernandez is the least one that worries me compared to your other guys. But otherwise, I see you guys either going through Chalobah. I don't know how good Sarr is on the ball. Hatter will be put under pressure as well. It's going to be interesting. I doubt it. You want to try and go via Joe Linton and Gordon's side, but Gordon will dictate where Jurgensen goes either way, either this side, or centrally. You like to do central is quite good for you as well because I think Pedro is really, really good at holding up the ball, and that the bottom has to be really, really tight on here. Otherwise, it's going to be really problematic. I think that's going to be crucial for us. I think also set pieces against you guys, whether it's corners, free kicks in and around the box, are going to be the main thing for us. But if we get it wrong, because you've been really superb on the counter statistically, I don't know how you feel about Garnacho. We've talked about Neto, his ability on the ball. If Hall gets his press wrong here and leaves Chow isolated, Chow is still really good on the flanks here. So this isn't going to be easy for what's the name, for Neto. But there's an avenue for you guys here as well. For you though, Bobby, where is Chelsea's strengths here? Where do you think are the biggest? If Chelsea got to win this game, where is it? Where is it going to come from?
I'll answer that question a different way by zeroing in on something you mentioned at first, which is the build-up play through the middle. I think that is probably the most obvious difference between Maresca and Rafinha, where
Right.
you're seeing a lot more coming through the middle through Andres Santos in particular. Okay. So you see him trying to break the lines, getting the ball, picking up the ball there. So if Rafinha is true to form in terms of what he's been doing since he has been here, he's going to try to build up play through the middle, which you've just exposed as the way for Chelsea to lose this game. So the question becomes, what will he do? I don't think we've seen that yet, what his alternative would be. He hasn't been going long. Is he going to build upon his sides? Possibly, we can see that. But I think he's having nightmares tonight about Gordon closing down Jorgensen. Okay, because that's going to be a problem.
And I think Gordon can't sleep because he's thinking about closing down Jurgensen.
He's setting the table, licking his chops, ready for a big dinner, a buffet. It could be a buffet at the back there, my friend, if we try that through the middle nonsense.
He's gonna do clever stuff, I think. So he'll get maybe Caicedo and Santos to split wide and try to expose the middle parts first, and try and he could rotate it. It doesn't have to be for. So he could. I don't know who's best with their back to goal. I assume it's Caicedo. So maybe it's Caicedo in an advanced position if you're playing from out the back. And the hope will be to try and get him either against a Ramsey or a Tonali, depends on how we want to do it. And the main thing then is to connect to obviously to Pedro with your with then your wingers here. He could try and force that.
Possibly, yeah.
That would work maybe once, possibly twice.
He's going to have to do something he's not done yet.
Right.
Because, and if he doesn't, he's walking straight into a trap. So that could be really interesting for Eddie Howe. Which now convinces me that Gordon for sure is going to be starting, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't think Delap starts?
Dude, if Delap comes on and does foolishness, the fans are going to be on his back. I don't think that's the atmosphere. Delap's confidence is through the mud. He can't even run with the ball at his feet anymore. He's lacking so much confidence. I don't think this is the game for him. And João Pedro has that rhythm right now, and he seems to be a pretty hardy player. So I don't see Delap will get minutes. This game is too important to have Delap and Garnacho starting in this lineup.
Okay. Where's if it's not, apart from like your build up, where else do you kind of see where Chelsea can take over or like can get some joy out of Newcastle? Would it be anywhere in and around
Look, I think Enzo Fernandez is the game is going to hang on Enzo Fernandez, right? And his ability to get around. Now he covers a lot of ground in matches. By the way,
He does.
He
does.
Right.
He does, yeah.
As slow as he is, he does cover a lot of ground. So I think there's a lot to his game that's perplexing. Our midfield doesn't work well without him, but he's a liability in many respects.
He's the conductor. Remember, we've got it. He's the conductor.
I think he's going to be a problem. I think Garnacho's actually hit a bit of form. He's actually a lot quicker than I thought he was as well. I think he's got some of the top speeds in our team, which is interesting. So look, João Pedro is going to be the key with Enzo Fernandez, given the way Rocinha likes to build up through the middle, right? So I think that's where the threat is going to come from. I don't see many balls over the top. We got some pretty fast wingers in this lineup here, so that could be interesting. But I think the threat is going to be the João Pedro, Enzo Fernandez kind of link up.
I agree, and I can't remember. When you guys went to St James's Park, was Livramento playing?
I can't recall.
God, that was a really good game. We were 2-0 up in that game as well. This is a good game for Livramento. in the sense of getting his rhythm back. And if he's got a chance to get back in, I agree. I think Pedro is going to be really, really central. And what Fernandez does in the build up, as well as in these kind of situations in the mid block, is going to be absolutely crucial for you. And Neto and how he's involved or not involved is going to be absolutely crucial for you. But if we get our press right against Barcelona, I think we put ourselves in a very, very good chance to do something in this game. I look at your bench. You do have players that after that 60th minute mark, you can bring on Palmer, you can bring on Cucurella, you can bring on Delap, Joshua Achep. What's happened with Joshua Achepom? I think he's such a talented kid. Like, what's happening with him?
He's not getting consistent minutes, and he's constantly being played out of position. I think he's just being managed very poorly. He desperately needs a loan.
Okay.
But yeah, he's very mystic. You know, he's prone to the odd howler recently. And he's been playing kind of like a wing back position, which is weird for a guy who is supposed to be a centre back hybrid, I guess.
Right.
But he is being completely mismanaged. So I can't see him playing a role in this kind of important game.
So you've got a couple of players that you can bring on. We've got obviously Wissa and Voltemade for me are going to be on the bench. In fact, I'll put a Solar on before them at the moment.
What is going on with Wissa? Because this is somebody you can use in this game.
He's not fit. I think he had that when we bought him. He got that injury after when he went international duty against for Congo. Excuse me. From what last time I heard was that what's the way he's either torn his ACL or something around his ACL. It's not totally gone, but he's on injections and he will need an
Right.
operation.
I'm just looking at our last starting lineup, as you had mentioned it earlier, to see who started. So we had James in midfield. Garnacho played that game as well. He did not have a bad game, actually.
Yeah.
And that was when you had Miley at right back.
He might be on the bench for us.
Oh, is he coming back fit? Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying coming back against Barcelona, which lets me think that he possibly goes to the bench against you guys.
Gusto got cooked by Gordon, so
yeah, that was wild. That was Gusto. Yeah, that wasn't.
So it could be interesting again. But yeah, so I think the last game was actually pretty disappointing for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a game that we should have. We it was in our hands to win. We snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Well, draw.
Big up Dave. He's gone. Ramsdale, Tino, Chow, Botman, Hall, J7, Sandro, Ramsey, Gordon, Willock, and Elanga. Everyone from Newcastle fans we're all choosing strong lineups here. Dave says not Elanga, possibly Murphy played. Now Murphy got the assist. They came on against Barcelona and got the assist.
Yeah, what's going on with Murphy? Why is he not seeing more minutes? I guess with the change, the solutions that Eddie has been trying to find, he doesn't really fit into that, does he?
It fits in better coming off the bench when there's a bit of tired legs as it was against Barcelona.
Right.
And I think Eddie Howe was just trying to get Elanga to play into form. I think we're just playing him until he gets into
some
form.
Confidence. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know how I feel about Murphy. I think he's very underrated and one of the coldest finishers in this league. Like when he has to deliver, he can deliver on a sixpence, right? He can just drop it right on a spot.
He did it against Barcelona. It's phenomenal.
Once again, yeah.
And there was openings in that game. I'm sure people that are watching will watch the game. You watched the game when Lang was on it, and there was openings against Barcelona where you think you release it early. and he doesn't Elanga, and that's where Murphy is just so, what's the word? Has so much conviction. He has that
Yep.
conviction. All right, so
I think just to close off that point,
no,
I
no, do
do
your
think
thing.
I think Murphy would be look, Hato is a really good defender, right? And he's not much of a threat the other way. I actually think that Murphy might be a better matchup if Hato is starting on the left.
Oh, really?
That'll be
On
my
the
sense, but again, obviously Eddie's not going to know who's starting. But I personally think um, that like I think Hato is going to take care of Elanga quite easily.
okay.
Um, yeah, he's got the pace. He's a really good defender. I think your concern about Murphy has always been his tracking back, etc.
No,
Um,
he can't dribble, so he's very limited. His
right.
ball carrying, his dribbling is very, very limited as opposed to Elanga. What he could do though, which you might not want, is a Solar.
That could be interesting. But
That
you
could be
see, you know,
very interesting.
yeah, I mean, I think Hato is going to be comfortable with pace. He's not. It's Murphy's deliveries into the box that I would be more concerned about. But I hear
what
you.
what Eddie Howe likes to do, whether it's Elanga or Solar, if you're Hato and you've been fighting and battling and running back all day, and you're not quite, by the time Murphy comes on, who's a different type of player, where he's not going to be too interested in kind of one-on-one battles. You know what he's going to do, gets the ball as quickly as he can. Now Hato might anticipate he's going to run down the line with me. He's not. He's waiting for Gordon and Willock, and the first thing he wants to do is just whip it in as soon as possible. So
Right.
rather than closing them down, he might stay off. Do you know what I mean? And after 70, 80 minutes of battling somebody, you're not always going to have the presence of mind to say, okay, that's Murphy. I need to change my tact. So,
I think Hato is more equipped to handle the runners, not that person
right.
that's gonna deliver the ball early.
Okay. Okay. Well,
That'll be
let's
my
see.
sense.
Well, we taught some proper good. I thought I was going to be. We proper went into the breakdown today because I thought I was gonna talk some transfer news, but thankfully I can carry that over to the next show. Bobby, fans, but Bobby, guys on the chat, send in your. I was going to say Newcastle fans. I was going to send in your score predictions, guys. Let us know your thoughts. If I get a minute, I might just mention a little bit about what people. I might just do a small catch up at the end in terms of some Newcastle news. It's still good worth saying. But Bobby, what's your score predictions going into this?
No, I've had a very solid track record with my predictions on this show.
You have, you have, you have,
So
you
I'm
have.
really scared to. This one has a lot of dynamics to it,
Yeah.
in terms of the outside competitions and where managers are focused demands of the fans. So that really makes it difficult. Um, but I'm actually thinking that Eddie is thinking about Barcelona. So I'm gonna go
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Chelsea.
Mm. I think Eddie is thinking about Barcelona, but he's thinking about how Chelsea can help him against Barcelona and keep the rhythm of the team and keep that press, especially when you've got such a possession heavy possession based team, and pressing and keeping that coordinated and consistent press is going to be important. And I think he'd want to see those players perform. So I think it's going to be 2-1 the other way around.
Okay, fantastic.
Um, I'm going to go for, in terms of goal scorers, and I think set pieces is going to be crucial in this game. But I'm going to go for Gordon Tonali. I feel like we can get something outside the box. Who's your goal scorers?
I'm João Pedro for sure for one. And I'm actually gonna say that Garnacho is gonna do something interesting. He's in good form.
Oh,
He had a decent
okay.
game against you guys last time, and yeah, he's got a lot to prove.
He does. He does. He's another one that gets a lot of stick as well. Hello?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he's another one that gets a lot of stick as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, but he's earned it, right? So his decision making is poor. But I mean, in fairness, look, for the amount of stick he does get, he does put his head down, right? And he has been delivering. Fair play to the guy. The amount of slander that he gets from the fan base is mad, right?
true.
But he's still applying himself and he's still working hard. And at some point you gotta respect that, right? So he's been getting the outcomes. He's been delivering the results in his last couple of games. I think it was a massive mistake not to start him yesterday with that PSG highlight, right? That's the kind of stuff he would like to run at. So it'll be interesting to see, if he's able to test out Livramento. Arguably, he's an easy player to defend against in one-on-one situations, but I think when he can be a really good outlet, and so yeah, I'm gonna back him to put one in the net on the weekend.
There you have it. We've got people sending in their predictions. Big up to you guys. Dave says Murphy's strengths are he crosses the ball early with people out in the box. It's a ball forward and it's not being met by anyone, especially not Voltemade, I think. Um, Dave's gone 2-1 to the Toon. Warburger's gone 3-1 Blue Gremlins. If they slow down the game tempo, if Chelsea fell to, then 3-2 Newcastle. It's like a very well thought out plan there. Um, um, a BDB, Burn and Gordon to score. I like that prediction. Dave says, and Pedro to score. Their goal, obviously. Agent's good for 3-2 Baltimore hat trick. Hey, that would be
Look,
amazing.
Walter scored some goals against us last time. It'll be interesting if he starts again. Wouldn't surprise
Yeah.
me because, as I said, Eddie's. I'm sure Eddie's focused on Wednesday.
Well, folks, there you have it. I'm gonna move on to talk a bit about our Newcastle transfers as well. So, Bobby, let us know if you're able to stay for a little bit. I'm gonna do 10, 15 minutes, or you're off.
I've
If you are off,
not had I've not had dinner yet. Yeah, so I'm gonna go and do that
oh, you
now.
know, I didn't know. Oh my word,
Well,
sorry.
but remember, I'm three hours behind you, so that's okay.
That's true. That's
Yeah, yeah.
true.
So
That's true.
I'm
That's true.
so I'm 3 hours today because the clocks I think went back for us. Go back forward for you this weekend, right? Ours adjusted last weekend.
I don't know. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, yeah. I think on Saturday night your clocks are gonna switch. So
oh
um,
gosh, look
so
forward
yeah.
to it.
But it was great
So let,
being here, my friend, and looking
it's
forward to
been.
the conversation about the financials as soon as they come out.
They said it's going to be released in 2 weeks' time. So
Okay.
folks, do look out for that. We're going to have a phenomenal show about that. But Bobby, let folks know where they can find you before you go.
On X at Bobby Fairview. Um, Always happy to engage with folks there, as long as they're not trolling. Um, so I'll be good.
And I really, really encourage folks to kind of to follow Bobby. Like he's not only got like in depth and really good analysis on all things Chelsea, but financials and but also good banter really when he as well. So I really, really encourage you guys to give him a follow as well. Bobby, take care, my friend, and we're gonna do a show real soon. Hopefully, once the accounts get released.
We will be in touch. Good night to all.
God bless
Cheers.
you, Bobby. Take it easy.
Cheers. Cheers.
All right, folks. So I wanted to spend 10, 15 minutes just going. I thought it was important because we did get some information around transfers, and I am, like you said, I'm going to go a little bit. I'm going to try and, it's taking shape, essentially. The transfer window is taking shape. and I don't want us to. I want to keep up with it a little bit. Now, there's tons of stuff. I'm not going to be able to talk about all of it. I wanted to go through the article in relation to the newspaper. I know there's a lot of information from Craig Hope about strikers and players that have been linked to us, but I wanted to let me put that up and get you guys' thoughts. Big up to you, Dave. Hit them likes, subscribe, my fellow Toon fans. Thanks for that, Dave. Really appreciate that. Because it goes into the stuff that we are talking about before, into how our summer windows essentially shaping up. So this is from obviously Mark Douglas. Really enjoy reading his stuff from the newspaper. He's got some big connects up in Newcastle. And he's saying Newcastle eye potential Tonali replacement with 5 players' futures in doubt. And there's a side title of "There will be no panicking this time around after summer's botched window." And the panicking part is in quotes, so he did get that from a source directly. I wonder if that's Ross Wilson, though it's difficult to tell at this time. Potential Tonali replacement, obviously, of Lamine Kamara, who we spoke about before. Lots of, obviously, buzz and lots of hype around Tonali's name. Newcastle have also, not set price, but there's rumours about what price Newcastle have set for him. But this isn't just it's about Tonali and Lamine Kamara, but there's a lot that he says in here that I think is interesting. In terms of Newcastle's window as a whole. So I want to see what you guys' take on it is at the moment. So I think he says, as encouraging as Newcastle United's performance against Barcelona was last week, it came with a reminder of the recruitment failings that make returning to the Champions League next season something of a long shot. Nobody wants to be a party pooper, but the sight of João Wissa. Apologies, my signers are kicking off. But the sight of João Wissa and Nick Woltemade, more than £120 million worth of talent sitting on the bench, told its own story. What do you guys think of that? Woltemade and Wissa sitting on the bench. And for me personally, and this has changed, I'm going to show you guys a little bit about how I'm viewing the summer window shaping up. I can't remember. I feel like, again, we've said it on the show. Osolo is ahead of the pecking order with these guys. And I think Gordon, should we keep him into next year, will be our central forward striker with whoever else comes in. João Wissa, as I was saying, I think he's dealing with big injuries, with a big injury problem. I wouldn't be surprised that once this season is over, he will be getting an operation and will be out for some months. And we spoke about Nick Woltemade, who, as I've said, but it's important to keep on saying it, has a unique set of skills. He's a really, really good player, a unique player. But just like Craig Hope said, he is the missing piece for another team's puzzle. Our front-footed, high-pressing, transitional play does not suit Nick Woltemade. And I don't believe we should have a player, and I think others have said this, who dictates the way that we play. So it's unsurprising to me that both of them are on the bench. And I don't think we want to see Woltemade in midfield either, because I feel like, and it's not his fault in terms of where he necessarily plays, but I think a big part of why Man City beat us was because they kept on hammering the side where he was playing. his inability to see to kind of understand the space behind him, close down players. We will get caught at the back time and time again. Mark goes on to say more than 120 million pound worth of talent sitting on the bench told its own story. Even insiders now admit, interested. If it's Ross Wilson, I'll be interested. Even insiders now admit that Newcastle panicked in the summer, spooked by striker nutbacks and the Alexander Isak saga. That sucked so much energy at the club that the other departing players saw their moves delayed while legal counsel worked on the forward's departure. And we can't be having a transfer window like that again, for sure. The message from Newcastle ahead of another big summer is that lessons have been learned. Okay, so and this hence why we're seeing this art, and this is if you're Ross Wilson or anybody in the Newcastle recruitment team, this is why you're leaking this information. You want to put this information, out there. Look, we've learned our lesson. We're proactive. We don't want it to happen again. He says murmurings around the future of Sandro Tonali, as examples, and Tino Livramento have already begun, but club insiders are relaxed. They're relaxed. Why are they relaxed? It's a whack of those. Gosh, sinuses. The intention is to be on the front foot, and that's a quote. That's a quote now. As they restructure the squad. Interesting term of phrase. Restructure the squad rather than build on the squad. It's restructure the squad, which lets you know that there's things that are there that need to be broken down and started again. Interestingly, a pivot towards European markets and players of potential has already begun. Interesting. So they're already saying to you, this is what you guys should be ready for. We're going to be going abroad. We're going to we're looking to not necessarily sign established players, kind of already kind of signaling, don't be looking at 60, 70, 80, 90 million type of signings. For sure. While January is in action, which the club signposted long before the transfer window opened, did not give them a chance to show it. Newcastle are ready to move on to markets they barely exploited 9 months ago. Interesting. So it sounds like they've listened, they kind of watched and heard what people are saying on social media. I'm not sure why they're doing this. I don't think they need to. Markets that they barely exploited 9 months ago. So what sort of market is that? Woltemade came from Germany. Malik Chow was in Italy, but obviously from Germany as well. I think the rest were from the Premier League, but I think they're going to try and be a lot more. Obviously, we had rumours around Brazil and everything else. We've got a set up in Brazil now. Maybe that. So Mark goes on to kind of clarify what that is. He says that the Iron Paper understands that they have watched Lamine Kamara, and he gets brought up a lot. Folks that follow this channel, that done the scat, that done the read, these type of articles, he comes up a lot. Monaco's highly rated Senegal international midfielder, they've scouted him extensively over the recent months. The 22-year-old ticks plenty of boxes and has a sort of profile that would fit in well with Eddie Howe's high intensity style. This is true. With doubts about Tonali's future, those links will inevitably lead to fans putting 2 and 2 together. But it is understood. So they're trying to correct the narrative. There's a lot of narratives here. And whoever's talking to Mark is now trying to correct the narrative, saying, hey, we know there's lots of rumours around Tonali's future, and understandably so. You're going to hear a lot of connections with us and midfielders like Lamine Kamara. But hold on to your hats. This is what we're telling you. But it is understood that regardless of what happens with the Italy international, they have been scrutinizing midfield targets in readiness for the potential of Joe Willock, for the exit of Joe Willock, who is keen to play more regular time. This is so interesting, guys. And it's not about whether we believe this or not, or whether I believe it or not, right? It's about why they're putting this out. Whoever's leaking this to Mark. So Mark isn't responsible for controlling narrative. I don't think he's even doing that. He's even giving his own opinions on different things, right? Whoever he's talking to in the Newcastle recruitment team, I'm gonna put a name on Ross Wilson. What they really want to be able to say to Newcastle fans here, you're going to hear tons of rumors about Tonali leaving. Then you're going to hear tons of rumors about us looking for midfielders as a replacement for Tonali. But we're not fazed by this. What our target is, this is what the Newcastle are saying. We've been looking at targets, midfield targets, for ages because we're preparing for the potential exit of Joe Willock. And we know there's been a lot of connections to Joe Willock leaving Newcastle. I think they were looking to go to Fulham as well, for instance, right? So in their minds, they know in their minds, that's what they're preparing to do, whilst obviously being flexible to potential approaches for Tonali. But they're saying, we're looking for a new midfielder to replace Joe Willock. What's you guys' thoughts about that? Do you guys think that... Big up Nathan, by the way. God bless you, Nathan. Good to see you, sir. Do you think Tonali stays? Do you think this replacement they're looking for, is it for Tonali? Is it for Willock? Do you think we'll end up having to make two replacements? James says, I'm back. Good to see you back. Warberdrug says, did you see the Skelly and Wanyeri transfer news? No, I didn't. All I can say is that's the kind of thing that makes me more receptive to the idea of moving Arteta. I like him, but he's not prime Pep, Winger, or Sir Alex. I'm assuming that they're selling them. But I'm not overly surprised they are. We're looking for a midfielder, but Wanyeri maybe isn't big, like physically big enough for us. We're also looking for a left back to challenge Lewis Hall. So maybe Skelly, but like I've said, even when people were hyping him a lot, I was saying he doesn't play with his head up. So such an interesting take. So by the way you're saying it, Warburg, you must be like, you're not feeling that, like you feel like you feel like they have, more maybe could have been done with them. Warburg says, I wouldn't buy the Tino Arsenal links. We don't have the money for him. And you know what, Warburg, that's make a really good point, because I think this is just my take, right? And we're going to talk about Tino in a moment. There's been tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff, links to go of Tino going to City, right? And even it's got me. I still think that happens. Obviously, Craig Hope has been talking about it, but then there was this post from Fabrizio Romano saying this deal is nowhere near as close as people think it is. So it makes me think two things. I think someone in Tino's camp has been making it very, very clear to people that, hey, Tino is going to join City. Tino wants to join City. We're going to go for it. And someone in City's camp is telling Fabrizio, saying, look, we're not saying we're not interested, but we're saying, hold your horses. And part of the reason for that, for me, is Tino's lack of availability. And they say availability is the best ability. And when Newcastle are making quotes of 60, 70 million for Tino, and he's, he hasn't been available for like at least a third of the season. If you're City and you're playing 50, 60 games a season, you need your best right back or potential best right back to be available. And when there's cheaper alternatives available who are more consistent, you're going to look at that. So where the Arsenal links come from to say that is, I think Tino's camp in response to that Fabrizio quote have now tied themselves to Arsenal to also say, there's Arsenal involved, and try to tempt City to come back to remind City, hey, you're not the only club that's interested. He could also leave to go somewhere else, but also tell Newcastle, because we're negotiating contracts, that hey, City are interested, Arsenal interested. You better give him the pay that he wants, type of thing. So his agent is making a lot of noise, but City are distancing themselves. Arsenal potentially is distancing themselves, and Newcastle are keeping quiet. James says, seems like now targeting a player like the right Isak, an Italian wonder kid called Pio Esposito. Yeah, I saw that. Look at his polygon against his piece against this season and Isak season. They're very close in days. I have to look. I've never heard of him before, so it'll be like a brand new thing for me as well. So I'll do that, James. James says he has 12 goal contributions this season and assists and goals. He sounds exciting. All right, so back to the article. Where is it? Where is the article? Here we go. So they're saying what the Newcastle recruitment team are trying to put out there is, we're looking for a new midfielder. We've been looking for a new midfielder for a while. This is the replacement for Joe Willock. That's what they're trying to say. So one of sporting director Ross Wilson's priorities has been to target Newcastle recruitment strategy in better shape, to get it in better shape. Successive directors of football have spoken about planning for the next 2 or 3 transfer windows, but the reality of that was laid bare in the summer when the Magpies had to scramble to sign a short-term option in goal after a move for James Trafford fell through. That has to change. I agree. The Premier League's financial rules means that incoming need to be balanced. By outgoings, any big money signings probably require a squad space to be freed up, which means that departures are inevitable. So be prepared for exits, right? So that, as what they're saying, Newcastle have money, I believe, regardless, but they're also putting the message out there of, and they don't want people to think, especially potential people they're buying players from, that they're flashing the cash and they can overpay. So they're cautious approach that they're trying to bring out there. That thinking will dictate decisions over contract extensions, and this is the part I wanted to get to. Contract extensions. We talked about this last time, and these 2 players that came up were Fabian Schär and Kieran Trippier, who are both in big bold writing and underlined, which is interesting. I wonder why he did that, to make it obvious, essentially, that both Fabian Schär and Kieran Trippier, who are both keen to stay. And that's the important thing they want to bring out there. Schär and Trippier want to stay at Newcastle. The latter is enjoying something of a career renaissance in Trippier, and was outstanding against Barcelona. He was, and against Man United. But Wilson, along with Howe, has to be prepared to make difficult calls. Interesting. It also throws into sharp focus their striker dilemma. It does. The need to shake things up is obvious. Newcastle's lack of cutting edge, this is true. We're going to talk about Newcastle at the end of this, we're going to talk all the time, but that lack of cutting edge, I'm really going to hone in on that when we do this end of season review, has seriously cost them this season. True. But Woltemade and Wissa are both on big, long-term contracts. They are. And falling out of favour under Howe would have hit their values. This is true. Newcastle clearly needs to sign another striker, hence the links today. But the numbers do not really work unless the Magpies accept a hefty loss on one or cash in on William Osola, who has shown signs that his potential might be realised of late. Again, these are difficult decisions Wilson cannot duck. This is super interesting. And I'm going to show you how for me, this summer is beginning to shape up. Because what they're saying is, we're going to have to take a hefty loss. They're literally saying via Mark, we're going to take a hefty loss of either Voltemada or Wissa or sell William Osola. And I think if I'm reading between the lines here, guys, and let me know what you guys think here, I would wager that they're preparing to sell Voltemada at a loss. Anywhere between 40 to 50 million, preferably 50 million. I think they're preparing people for that. I think that's what they're preparing people to do. Let me know what you guys would prefer. Would you sell Voltemada and or Wissa and keep Osola, or would you sell Osola and buy another striker? For me personally, and I'm going to show you guys my table in a moment, I think Osola should stay. Hopefully Gordon stays and we buy this new striker. And unfortunately, I think Voltemada to sell at a loss, even if it's 20 to 30 million at a loss. If the summer is still having a wide-ranging impact, says Mark, fans will soon have insight into how it affected the club's off-the-field activities. Newcastle's accounts are due to be published, and me and Bobby are going to be going through them with a fine-tooth comb in the next fortnight and show a small profit for the first time on the PIF, in part due to the Isak sale. So for all those people that are saying that we spent our Isak money, no, we have not. January parsimony, whatever that means. The club have breathing space from a financial perspective and remit to reshape the squad in a desperate need to shake up. They cannot afford any more missteps. And that's the message. That thing about reshape the squad at the beginning and restructure the squad is they're trying to right the wrongs. It's a whole recalibration, reshape, restructure, redo this. They're having to pay this for the sins of the past. The Voltemada deal and or the Wissa deal. Keep Osola rather than trying to sell him. Try to keep on to the best players. It's going to be very, very difficult to do that. We'll see how that goes. But they're trying to prepare people for a reshaping of the squad. Rather than a building on, rather like an evolution of the squad. I think they're kind of that's what I got from that. And where that leads me to, I'm going to show you guys in a moment, is a bit I'm going to read your comments in a moment as well. How I think this summer is beginning to shape up for Newcastle. Let me get this. Have I got this ready? Yeah, I think I do. And then we'll show it, and we will conclude in a minute. So you guys would have seen this form before because we did it. But before I start, let me just see what you guys are saying in the chat. Boba just says, I personally rate Skelly higher than Hall overall. Boba Jug, come on now. It's getting late. Even if I think Hall is a better left back. Skelly is a more complete, rounded profile versus Hall, who's more set. Boba Jug, man. It's getting late. Come on, man. You have to. In fact, we'll debate this. We will debate this. We'll get more time. I'm very confident that Hall beats Skelly every time. Nathan says Walter will likely leave on a loan to buy, which is ridiculous, really. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. We're going to get laughed at by opposition fans for this. James says, I would rather have a heavy take loss Wissa because I see he will have a role in the club for them to put 65 million into a player. I wouldn't want unless Bayer gets in again and offers the same price. They won't offer the same price after all the stuff they made in the journal. But I see what you're saying, but they won't offer the same price after all the stuff they've been saying in the news about Newcastle And in fact, I think Bayern would want to make an example of Newcastle and say, remember we told you to buy for 65 million. Here's 45. And then eventually we'll probably sell it for 55. Whatever it is, that Newcastle make a loss on it. Like that's the main thing. I remember but to be honest though, Bayern Munich also had an embarrassing thing with Nicholas Jackson, who I think is a really good player. But they just don't like him. So it's embarrassment all round, really. All right, so let me just show this and then we'll conclude the show. Is you guys remember from the previous show how, Warden, and you're going to see these things change all the time. Who's more likely to go? Who's more likely to stay? And remind me if there's any names I've missed out on. But with this new report, I've changed my mind on a couple of things. So I think Kieran Trippier has gone from, I'll put him at medium actually. I'll put him at medium. Is less likely to leave. Shaw 2. I think Shaw and Kieran Trippier are less likely to leave. And I think Osola is less likely to leave. I forgot to put on Willock. Let me find Willock. Because Willock got himself mentioned. So let me see. Willock, Tonali, Bruno. That's what I want to put on here. Let me know where you guys will put these guys. Green, for low, likely to leave. Amber for medium, likely to leave. Red for high, likely to leave. I've got Bruno as low at the moment, but I've got Willock as very, very high. I put all the goalkeepers in there, apart from like Gillespie and others is high, but I think those guys stay. Some of them will stay probably. But you can already see the shift in patterns. I want to put Tonali as high, but I think the only difference for Tonali is our asking price is higher for a lot of teams. And I think they'll wait to see if we qualify for the Champions League or not. So for now, I'll put him in amber. I might change my mind on it. But I've gone from having Osola, Kieran Trippier, and Shaw in higher likelihoods of leaving to now less. And I'm put Voltemade, Wissa. I'll include Gordon in this, even though there was news today about Gordon. Newcastle being very, very keen on Gordon to stay. And there's a reason for that I'm going to show you. Gordon is very, very important for us. He is super, super important for us to keep him if we can. But I've got Wissa and I've got Voltemade as having real potential in the orange here. I've got Gordon in the low, mainly because of the price we're going to put on him. But there will be clubs that will do that have the means and resources to do it. Is there anybody I'm missing out? Oh, Livramento. Livramento is high. Or is he amber? You guys let me know. Where should I put Livramento? Medium or amber? I'm going to put Livramento. I had Livramento as red, by the way, previously, actually. I'm going to put him as medium only because his agent is way more desperate than I thought he would be. And that's not good. That release news report from Man City, it could be also them trying to keep Newcastle on side, like saying, hey, we're not trying to, unsettle your players. We're trying to get clubs to calm down. But I think Livramento's agent is doing a big, big job trying to let everybody know that he's available, he's leaving, he's going Man City, whilst everybody else is keeping fairly quiet. So that report has changed my mind on a Livramento. I've got him in an amber. I've got Shaw and Trippier, mainly because his availability is what's gonna dictate whether City or anybody else go for him. I think Shaw and Kieran Trippier, we now know, are both keen to stay. Whether they will or not will depend on obviously their transfer. Will depend on things. I personally think it's more likely that they do stay because it will cost way less than having to buy new players, and their leadership as well, and everything else is important. The quality stuff we're going to talk about in a moment, in another time, but I think they're more likely to stay. I think they're really considering Osola staying. I think with how we're restructuring, it makes for him to stay. But I think Tonali, Woltemade, and Wissa are in the amber for sure. With Gordon and Bruno are in the green. So before I go to the chat, the one thing I wanted to show about why I think Gordon's so important, and what I think Eddie Howe and where is it? I've lost myself in the chat. Stay, Rudy, stay. We'll go. Where is it? Two heavy take loss. Yeah. So this is what I think. I think when they're talking about restructuring, reshaping, I know it's from a transfer window, but transfer strategy point of view. But I also think this is in how they're shaping up for next season. We've learned a lot from the Voltemada situation, I think. Well, I hope we've learned a lot. And what I think we've learned is that intensity is our identity, and we shouldn't leave our identity. I also think what we've learned is that we should play to our strengths. And unfortunately, and buy players who fit that profile, of which Osola is one. I think Gordon, the other thing that we was going to say is Gordon is probably our best number 9 at this current moment. And I think, and this happens a lot, you guys will know this, you'll have players who start off as wingers who become centre forwards. You know, Henri comes to mind, Cristiano Ronaldo, those are the more famous ones, but tons of players. This happens for tons of players. I think, by the grace of God, should Gordon stay next year, he becomes a number 9, whether Whistle and or Voltemada stay. And I think it's shaping up that it will be Osola. I think they're considering having Osola stay to support that. And or also play on the right. I think what Osola wants is minutes. That's the only other thing. And I think what could be possible is that we're going to need another left wing forward who can play central, to play alongside, to compete with Barnes, which is why we're kind of linked to with Mane and the rest of those. But I think Gordon starts on the left. But we are looking for another striker as well. So there is that. But I just have this feeling that if Gordon stays, he stays because he's going to play more and more in that number 9 role. And he's going to be rotated with either a Sola or somebody else. I think that's how we're going to see ourselves going forward. So that's how it's shaping up for me. But let me see what you guys are saying before we close off. James says, hi, just because Pep may go this season, and if Man City wants to try and keep him, They would need something to show that they're going to get players that he wants. Possible, and Tino. And James says, if we're going to make Gordon a true forward, we're going to need another left. Exactly. So that's exactly it, James. That's my kind of thinking about that. But the fact that we're linked to Delap, and I'd love to know more about those other strikers, like the ones that you mentioned, like what position, that Italian geezer that you was talking about. Where does he play? Does he play on the left as well? But anyway, that's what kind of, I'll be interested to know if he plays there. But we want versatile players. They might play on the left, but they can play central as well. But I can see it shaping up like that. I can see it shaping up like that going forward. But I think Delap is very much a number 9. If you got Delap and Gordon pressing high, Delap, Gordon, and 4-4-2 out of shape, 4-3-3 in attack, with Barnes joining in Delap and Gordon, that could be frightening. I think that's how they could see it. In my opinion. Pip plays straight centre forward, so he's looking for a lot of centre forwards. Fair play. So yeah, that's where, how would that work? That's what maybe the flaw in what I'm thinking is. If we're looking out for straight centre forwards like your Pips and your Delaps, right? And we keep Osola then again remains third choice striker in that. Does he want that? Or do we play, or is he the one that plays alongside Barnes on the left? He hasn't been playing on the left, so I don't know. So when we're talking about restructuring and changing, it's very, very interesting. But I think more and more they want to keep Osola. And I was thinking before I did the show is, if you were to put Al in the corner of the room and say to him, who would you take the £20 million loss on Voldemort and keep Osola, or would you make the profit on Osola and keep Voldemort? I think you'll take the £20 million loss on Osola. So let me know what you guys think of all of that. As always, you've been amazing. Like, share, and subscribe. So a lot there to talk about. We did a fantastic, masterful match preview with the very own Bobby Fairview. Talked about all things Chelsea. Talked about the Champions League and Newcastle's Champions League. The mindset, the psychology, the emotions going into this game between both our teams. Who wants it more? Who? Don't worry. There's a real player in there, but John. There's a real player there in Delap. I truly believe that. The mindset going in. Who wants it more? He's given his prediction 2-1 to Chelsea. I've given mine 2-1 to Newcastle. Let's see who proves right. And obviously, we did talk about stats and everything else, the tactical breakdown. And we did the last part of the show. We talked about the latest transfer news. Used the newspaper, talking about Newcastle's strategy, which is a lot of restructuring, reshaping. Sounds like they're ready to take a heavy loss if necessary to reshape themselves, and the likes of Baltimore and others, and they're preparing the Newcastle fans for that, and in order to go forward. And personally, I'm all for it. It doesn't say anything bad about Baltimore. Like I said, a unique player. He's just not the player for Newcastle. But before I end it, let me see what James says. I know they didn't say it in the report. Shouldn't we also be looking for a true replacement for Bruno? Lamine Kamara. And if anything, that's Miley. It's Miley. Yes, for it, not Miley. He's not that would be breaking the past someone like Canoes. I think it's Miley. I know what you're saying about breaking the lines, but I think Miley has that in his locker. I think Miley's the successor to Bruno. All right, folks, you've been absolutely amazing. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're safe. Hope you're blessed. As always, folks, see you probably next week, Tuesday or Monday. And as always, folks, God bless you all.